They say the bigger they are, the harder they fall. But what happens when the biggest is a 9-foot-tall giant, clad in bronze armor from head to toe, and you're just a shepherd boy with a sling? This is the story of an underdog, a testament to how unwavering faith can topple even the most fearsome giants. In the Valley of Elah, two great armies faced each other, poised for a battle that would decide the fate of nations. On one side stood the Philistines, a formidable force of seasoned warriors. Their champion was a giant named Goliath of Gath, whose booming voice echoed across the valley. For 40 days, he had taunted the armies of Israel, challenging any man to single combat. But fear had gripped the Israelite soldiers. They cowered in their camp, their spirits broken, their hope dwindling with each passing sunrise. None dared to face the giant. The valley floor was a stage of intimidation, with one man's shadow casting a pall of dread over an entire army. Just as despair threatened to consume the Israelites, a new figure appeared on the scene. It was David, a young shepherd sent by his father to bring supplies to his older brothers on the front lines. He was not a soldier, and his hands were more accustomed to a shepherd's staff than a sword. When he arrived, he heard Goliath's arrogant taunts and saw the terror in the eyes of his countrymen. A righteous anger stirred within him. While King Saul and his soldiers saw an unstoppable giant, David saw an enemy who defied the living God. He refused to let fear dictate the outcome. Declaring that he would fight the Philistine, he walked to a nearby stream, his heart steady and his purpose clear. He carefully selected 5 smooth stones, the only ammunition he would need, and placed them in his shepherd's bag. The moment of truth arrived. David walked out onto the battlefield, a small, unassuming figure against the backdrop of a massive, heavily armed warrior. Goliath looked down at the boy, his face contorted with scorn and laughter. He mocked David's youth and his simple staff, promising to feed his flesh to the birds of the air. But David was not intimidated. With his sling in hand, he declared that he came not with a sword or a spear, but in the name of the Lord Almighty. As the giant moved toward him, David reached into his bag, placed a single stone in his sling, and began to whirl it. With a surge of divine strength and pinpoint accuracy, he let the stone fly. It soared through the air and struck Goliath squarely in the forehead. The giant staggered, his eyes wide with shock, before crashing face first to the ground with a thunderous thud. The fall of the giant sent shockwaves through the Philistine ranks. The champion they had placed all their faith in was defeated, slain by a shepherd boy with a single stone. Panic erupted, and the once mighty army turned and fled in utter chaos. On the battlefield, David stood victorious over the fallen giant, not as a warrior of great physical strength, but as a symbol of unshakable faith and extraordinary courage. It was a victory that would echo through the ages, a powerful reminder that with faith, no obstacle is too great and no giant is too tall to fall.